Right now, only on the record, more of our interview with soon-to-be Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. He met with the president yesterday. You don't want to shut down the government, right?
Well, it was not the Bourbon Summit. I can tell you, after we had the meeting, everybody said, is this the Bourbon Summit? And I said, well, it wouldn't have been good for either one of our careers to be sipping bourbon in the middle of the afternoon.
Indeed. Better wait till nighttime. So how did it go yesterday?
Yeah, well, the reason people were curious about it is it had happened so seldom. It would have probably not been a newsy event had we met more frequently. We tried to focus just on the things that there might be some agreement on. I mean, for example, he's talked about trade agreements. He's never sent us a single trade agreement in 6 years. Most of my members, and myself included, are very much in favor of international trade. America always wins in these trade agreements. That's a possible area of agreement. We all know the fact that we have the highest corporate tax rate in the industrialized world is a great cause of the export of American jobs overseas. In principle, that's an area where hopefully we can do some business. Maybe on infrastructure. We've got a crumbling infrastructure in the country. There's a bipartisan desire to try to do something about that. So we just talked about the areas of agreement. There are plenty of areas of disagreement. He knows I disagree with almost everything he's been doing, and it wouldn't have been a very productive conversation if we just sat there and talked about the things that we disagree on.
Where the president, right after the election, has the executive action that was pretty much poking a stick in the eye of many Republicans, at least they thought, on immigration. I mean, it's a very hot issue. Yeah, well, it's not helpful. I mean, in fact, almost everything he said since the election makes it look like he was totally unaffected by the outcome of the election. So it's not helpful. So what you have to do is you have to decide, am I going to decide not to do things that are in the best interest of the country because I'm mad at the president? I don't think that's a rational response. I do think that on the immigration issue, it really makes it very difficult to go forward on that. And we all think he made a big mistake if he was interested in actually getting some kind of results on immigration. I mean, is there any sort of open conversation like, look, we have a problem here?
Well, I've been talking quite publicly about what he did, and I mentioned it again yesterday, but it's obviously an area of disagreement. And what we were trying to do is to talk about the areas where there's potential agreement.
How do you convey to the U.S. senators who are Democrats that you want to work with them? And this is not just, us against them or, war or...
Well, interestingly enough, about half the calls I got after my election were from Senate Democrats. Now, I'm not telling you they were happy I won, but I think what they were happy about was they thought I would run the Senate differently, respect the views of members regardless of party, give them an opportunity to vote on amendments that they offer, their ideas, and we're pretty excited about the fact that we intend to get the Senate back to the way it operated for a very long time before the last 4 years.
What do you think people in my hometown, Appleton, Wisconsin, now that this sort of historic shift of power, now the Republicans will take control of the Senate, how is it going to be different to them? And as they sort of watch from afar and watch what goes on in Washington, how is it going to appear different to them?
Well, let me tell you how I think they will notice the difference. There were two issues this year. One, people were obviously angry at the president. We all got that. The second thing was they really got the correct sense that the place wasn't functioning again. Now, they may have been confused about who was the cause of the dysfunction because the Democrats kept saying it was the House, but if you look at the facts, it was the Senate. I mean, the House passed lots of legislation, much of it on a bipartisan basis. It was the Senate that wasn't doing anything. Now, what I hope that the American people will figure out is that we're functioning again. We're actually addressing, for example, joblessness. Under the Obama economy, the average American, medium income and below, is $3,000 a year worse off than they were when the president came to office. And ironically, the people who've done the best during the Obama years have been the 1%, the people at the top. We want to start addressing the economy and jobs, and you do things like, you address that by doing things like approving the Keystone Pipeline, putting people to work, embracing the energy revolution that's going on in our country. We're now the #1 natural gas producer in the world, the United States, not somewhere else. Embrace the energy revolution. It's good for the country. Create jobs and opportunity that benefit people at the middle and lower income levels, not just the guys at the top.
I think it's tough for Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid to be soon leaving his job, becoming Minority Leader. Is that tough?
Well, it's an adjustment. It's going to be an adjustment for me. I mean, it's like, if you're a football fan, it's like the difference between being the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. They're both important jobs, but you've got a better chance to score on offense. And the majority leader is the offensive coordinator. He gets to call the plays, determine what we're going to debate. And, of course, my agenda is going to be very, very different from Harry Reid's agenda.
If I were back in high school with you talking to your high school friends and I said, someday that guy's going to be Senate Majority Leader, would they say, oh, yeah, we expect that, or would they say, you're kidding?
I think they'd probably be surprised.
Anyway, thank you, Senator. I hope that you'll invite us back up again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Greta.